Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Japanese Shabaru podcast. We're gonna start things off with Dandadan, episode 15. So, pretty much we have where it left off of with Okarun and Debulai about to square off. They're really great animations, just seeing them kick kick the spirit ball back and forth, and eventually Okarun does get the upper hand in the early scrap. And man, I cannot stress enough how well animated these sequences, this entire episode is. It's probably like the best one so far. But yeah, Okarun decides to like go with Momo and get her to safety, and pretty much tries to come up with a plan of how to get them all out of there. So he and Momo go, and he decides to launch her up to escape from the pit, the basement that they're at, because apparently the death worm or earthworm now finally is like leaking out poison. So if they both stayed, they would have both been done in by it. So Momo Momo kind of doesn't want to leave Okarun behind, but Okarun's like, no, you have to do this, and then you can come back for us later. And in the meanwhile, he was gonna find a way to deal with Gigi and the evil eye, and they have this like really cute scene of them holding hands. I love how the anime kind of really emphasized how much care uh, Momo has for Okarun at this point, and it really made it seem like if she was a little more than just caring. At least the way the they animated the sequence of her holding his hand. But yeah, we have Momo, and she gets launched up, and then she has to catapult herself with her own psychic powers up, and she decides to find a way to get Okarun and Gigi out of there. And one of the best ways was to get rid of the earthworm first and foremost. So the one way she decided, okay, how am I gonna get this earthworm out of the basement? So she decides to light up the house on fire. That way the firefighters will come in and bring their hoses, and maybe she can pour water down and you know either fill it up or have the earthworm escape due to the fire. One of those two things was bound to happen. So then we have the continuation of Okarun versus the evil eye. Oh, once again, great seeing Okarun at full display. You're seeing his ability to like avoid and go after the evil eye. It's really interesting because we have Okarun, who hasn't really have had an actual proper fight with a person, and so we don't really see him do a lot of like punches or a lot of kickings, but avoiding and trying to talk to Gigi, even though the evil eye was there. And it seemed like a lot of the evil eye was really having a lot of fun, because Okarun wasn't just a nobody or like somebody weak. He was actually putting up a decent showing for it, and eventually the evil eye notices that Gigi's body is starting to bleed. So it comes to realize also that the earthworm was releasing some toxins that Gigi's body was not going to be able to handle for very long. And it's pretty much afterwards he decides to trap Okarun in this cursed house, which is really interesting because, as you know, the evil eye's like whole backstory is that he was always caged in and made to be left alone. So, and it was something he couldn't escape from. So, like, the evil eye trapping Okarun is kind of like trying to show Okarun, like, yeah, this anything awaiting in this house is only going to be hell. And it's awesome seeing him just like walk in, and Okarun trying to like avoid, but not being able to avoid the punch. So you have the evil eye just wailing at Okarun, telling him like, yeah, after I'm done with you, I'm gonna go after Momo. And that was the one thing that kind of like woke Okarun up, where this is like really awesome scene where he just like grabs him and looks down on him, and it's like, oh, he's like, you're really pissing me off. It's like, and then he starts like telling people like how there's three mistakes that he made, and then he starts naming them off. Like the first one is that he's hurting Momo, and the second is that he made his friend hurt Momo, which Gigi would never be able to hurt Momo, and he's taking him away. And then afterwards, you start seeing Okuro say his famous line, "I'm going full throttle," and he starts just going fast, doing a variation of like squats and punching him as he's going up with both fists, like 20 times over and over and over again until eventually he breaks the house. So really symbolic of like Okarun being the one that breaks the evil eye out of his cursed home, the one that like finally gets to see him, gets to play with them. Of course, he gets to finally play with them outside the cursed home, and it's just really nice that Okarun was able to fight off for the first time on his own and actually come out victorious. And then he lands with his final. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the third mistake you made was pissing me off, and then he just goes like and his powers. He used up his last full throttle move, so but he does take care of the job. So it's really really awesome. Just finally Okarun getting to do something cool, and this time he didn't even have to. He didn't even think about like, oh, this is something Momo's gonna really like that I did, or he just did that because it it was the right thing to do, and it just really remembered how like whenever Momo is always in danger, Okurun's always the one that's like looking out for her, or like whenever something's wrong with Momo, he's seeing it and processing things, and it just also reminded me back of like way back when he was first acquiring these powers, when this kid was trying to make fun of Momo for being easy, and he it pissed him off. So I love how protective Okarun is of Momo. Also, another good thing to note from this episode is that Okarun is actually seemingly getting bulkier, which is just goes to show that the training Seiko kind of told him you have to start doing to make your body prepare to handle the Turbo Granny's powers. It's actually paying off, because now if you compare him to his first shirtless scene from the first season, he was just skinnier and bony, and now you can actually see some depth. Like he's starting to grow abs. His muscles are starting to like look a little bit more ripped, but so he's a little more toned out. So it's really, I love this how it's slowly showing his own like physical progress, and now it's finally Momo's turn to kind of like hit the screen time with how now the fire, obviously the firefighters come in, and I love how she's trying to get them to like hose down the basement to try to get Okarun out of there as the water lifts up, or to get the earth, and especially to get the earthworm out of there, because they're if they get hit by sunlight, they burn out. So, and I love how she remembers Gigi telling her way back when they were kids, like earthworms only like really need to leave the soil when they can't breathe, and that's usually when the ground soaks up a lot of water. But once they do leave the ground, if they are hit by a lot of sunlight, it's actually dangerous to them, and it kills them. So it's like a suicide. So it's really a double edge sword if they like go up for fresh air. And Momo tries to, after the earthworm kind of gets out, and the house is kind of protecting it from getting burned up by the sun. She has to like figure out a way to make sure it does, and it destroys the whole home with the fire truck, and now it's after the earthworm like kind of dries up because of the sun. Now we have the Keto family actually comes back, as they're like they weren't completely digested when the earthworm made them. So now they're there, and they're like another. It seems like this ain't over yet, even though like the major threat of the worm is over. But yeah, the episode ends up in a nice way where like the volcano finally erupts. So it's like it's finally the end of the Kiddo's family hold on this place, as they're the volcano finally erupts, and it's and yeah, now we get to see what happens, and it's definitely going to change the landscape of this town, and it'll definitely put like the people that were helping the Kiddo family turn away from them, as that was one of the main reasons why a lot of the town was actually helping them, like the police and stuff. So interesting, very good episode. I am rating it a 10 out of 10.